And we're finally on. Kyree, thank you so much for being here. Before we get into everything, you said that the first ever ads account you were in was the Golden State Warriors, and you said 2016, so that's when they broke the record.
That is when they broke the record and they lost to LeBron.
Yeah, that's tough. Still hurts me to this day. But I've so many questions. How did you get in there, and like, how was it the first account that you managed?
Yeah, so I was working for somebody else running Facebook ads, a digital marketing agency that recruited a bunch of like 18 to 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds, and I was 21, almost 22. Um, and I start wanting to run Facebook ads. I'd done like organic content for a friend of mine, which is how this guy found me. And we had built him up like 180,000 Facebook page fans, but I never sold anything on Facebook. So he was like, well, we have an account that's like our longest existing account, it's our biggest account, but like it's the most stable. They kind of don't give you any room to mess up. They tell you exactly what to post, exactly when to post it, the copy, the text, everything's already there. So it's like the easy version of Facebook ads. And so he's like, let's have this guy show you how to run ads. And then you guys will run this account together for the next month. And that'll be like how you kind of cut your teeth running Facebook ads. And so he teaches me probably over about 3 hours. We're doing merchandise and ticket sales for the Golden State Warriors. I got a good heading. I knew what to look up that night and to start like, okay, hey, do some practices over here. Let's hop back into the account tomorrow morning. I hop back into the account. I hop into the Zoom room. So I have the Facebook ad up, like the ad account up here. It used to be called Power Editor. And then the Zoom up over here. And I'm waiting on Zoom. And we get an email from the Warriors that are like, hey, we got these new things to upload, blah, blah, blah. I'm waiting on Zoom. And the guy doesn't show up. He showed me ads for 3 hours the day before. Ghosts. And ghosts everybody. So I text the owner who lived in my building. I was like, hey, so-and-so's not on the call. What exactly do I do? He's like, oh, just do what the sheet says. And I was like, excuse me, what? So I upload this new, like they had some new merch coming out on the, like breaking the record, I think was like the gist of the merchandise that we had. And then he's like, also, I need you to run the game tonight. Normally this guy would run the ads during the game. They do live ads during the game. I was like, okay, I guess. Like I'd only ever spent, I think, maybe $200 in a month on Facebook ads, like boosting posts and random stuff back when that worked, to like 10K, 15K a day running ads now. And then I get a text, dude. This is the scariest thing in the world. I get a text at halftime. Steph Curry hits a half court shot. He goes, I want you to spend $25,000 during halftime on that half court shot snippet. Like we have the video upload. We're competing against ESPN and all these other platforms, but we need the Warriors page to post a Steph Curry half court shot. And we want you to spend $25,000. Now, if you've never run a Facebook ad, you think you can just set a $25,000 budget. You can't, because it's a daily budget. You can't do an hourly budget or half hourly budget. I had to set like a $600,000 budget for the day. If I press a wrong button, I'm fucked. To spend 25K, I have to spend an accelerated 600K budget over the next 20 minutes during halftime. And if I mess up, if I get hit over the head somewhere, I'm screwed. We're all screwed. It was like the scariest, worst thing of all time. It ended up working out fine. I think we spent $29,000 over the half court shot. But yeah, that was like my first cutting my teeth in Facebook ads was for a worldwide
Dude,
NBA national
wow.
champion team. Yeah.
And that's not even like, yeah, take over the Charlotte Bobcats who suck, and like, who cares if people ever see this? It's like, oh, this is the greatest regular season team in history. Oh yeah, and Steph
Competing
hit a
with the
half court.
96 Bulls. Yep.
Yeah, here's my the company card. Put a $600,000 daily limit.
And they didn't even realize, like, I think they thought you were going to run an ad for $25,000. I don't think their team knew. I have to set a budget that is exorbitantly high so that
Yeah,
the next half hour will spend the amount of money we're looking for.
that's so crazy, dude. That's so wild to me. Wow. Do you remember what game it was? Like which half court shot?
Nope.
Like who they were playing or anything?
I mean,
No.
there's so
Okay.
many of them, but no. Uh, yeah, this is probably, it was between February and April. I know that, but I couldn't possibly know what game it was.
That's fair. I mean, I'm just a huge nerd for that stuff, and I think 2016 Steph is like the greatest offensive weapon in NBA history. But neither here nor there. But yeah, man, I know you said the story on how you got into men's work and how you got into ads and how you do all this is out there. But if you could just give us a quick rundown, I think I always think it's so cool when guys get into business and inner work because it provides such an awesome yin yang for how I think
Hmm.
men can model their lives instead of being like too strategy, ambition, go as hard as you can, and you don't just want to be completely go with the flow and like have no idea what you want out of life. If you
Yeah,
can
you
just
get
be
to
this
express
like,
both sides. Yeah. So yeah, I'm a former Division One football player. I played football in college. I was much more aggressive, much less well spoken now than compared to now. Um, when I stopped playing football, I ended up getting injured. I was going through a transfer to a new university. Blah blah blah. Stopped playing football and had no clue what was next. And I hated that I didn't have an answer. And then it kind of got me down this rabbit hole through depression and what the fuck am I doing? To do I know who I am? And I didn't have an answer to that either. And like that really messed with me because I had always known I'm supposed to be a professional athlete, and that was now stripped away. And so who's left? And I didn't know who that was, and that scared the hell out of me. And so I went searching for answers, and I didn't have them in my own head. So I go, okay, where do these exist? Bible? Maybe. Other religious books? Maybe. Other people? Okay, yeah, I'm onto something. Other people, what do they have that I don't have? And a lot of it was money, a lot of it was success, a lot of it was so many like good things, but then it was also bad things that turned them into something, like turned them into a bad person or a good person. Through triumph I've become this, or through triumph I've become this, or through like turmoil I've become like something bad. So I wanted to know what got people to their outcomes in life. And so I started talking to people. I started interviewing people from friends and family, coworkers. At the time I was working in special education, so I started interviewing coworkers. Oh, so and so's dad's a doctor. That would be cool. So and so's uncle's running for mayor of San Francisco. Oh, that would be pretty awesome. I was driving for Lyft and Uber, so I would interview my passengers on my ride. Those were pretty short for the most part. I'd be like, hey, can I get 20 minutes? And I just want to ask you about yourself. It's not being recorded. Nobody else is going to hear about it. It's just kind of my own young curiosity. Um, and I think along that path, I started realizing a lot of the behavioral patterns that I now use in both my businesses, really, because it helps in marketing as well as in coaching. Um, but I knew that I had this itch. I wanted to help. Like there were so many times when somebody would be telling about a problem or a bad thing that happened, and I'd want to have my input, but I knew I wanted to help. I didn't know how to help. I didn't know how to be of benefit to that person. I had people telling me like really sad things or really difficult things. I was like, God, I wish I could just be helpful to people. I wish I just knew whenever somebody tells me a problem, I know at least the way to think through the problem. Whether I know the outcome or not, whether I know the solution or not, I know how to think about it. And so I keep going through these interviews. I wanted to become a coach. I knew nobody would take me seriously. I was 20 years old, 19, 20 when I first started interviewing people. So what can I start doing? And I'd started helping my friend with his organic Facebook content at the time. I'd never studied Facebook ads. I'd never studied marketing to any degree. He had gotten scammed by a marketing agency. He started running his own content instead, and it was just doing very poorly. And I was like, I think I'm picking up enough from this other thing I'm doing that I kind of know what people want to hear. And it was like motivational quote cards, mostly
yeah,
attributed
yeah.
to him, but also like we use historical figures. Our like most popular one ended up getting like 36 million hits on Facebook, was like a Johnny Depp quote that I found out I don't even think was his quote later on. But it was like on his birthday, I posted it. Johnny Depp's birthday, I posted it, and it like popped off and went viral. And so I started learning how to use what do I know about people to get them to respond to things, which is on a deeper level what I do now on my Facebook. But I started doing it for somebody else. And I'd always told myself, I was just talking about it on a call right before we hopped on, that I'd always told myself I'd start coaching people when I was 30. Like at 30, I'm an adult, I'm a grown up now, I can actually like talk and be respected. And I think again along the way, like I'll just learn marketing on the way to coaching, and marketing will just be like a placeholder. And it became my full-time thing. I grew a small agency. I realized I didn't want to grow an agency, so I started only doing boutique um, agency stuff. I'm the one who runs your ads. I don't hire anybody else. I do the consulting. I do everything on my own. And I kept just feeling this itch to help people. I needed to help people. I needed to get out what's in my head, what's in my brain, what I'm learning. All my extra time was spent watching podcasts and reading books and learning about why we are the way we are. And it was always this holding back of like, well, you're not old enough yet. Nobody's going to want to hear anything you have to say. Luckily, at around 24, I snapped myself out of it and was like, let me just talk to who does want to hear about it, because I need to start putting this stuff out. I need to start talking about it. And so in 2018, I started posting consistently on Facebook. I've posted 3 times a day, every single day since April 27th of 2018.
Wow.
And I've not stopped. Yeah, but what was that 8 years? Almost 9 years?
Yeah.
I don't know.
8.5.
8 years. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, I've just been the most consistent person you've seen on Facebook since we became friends, and will continue to be that. And I've luckily grown both businesses being able to do that. But it started off with a sick obsession with why we are the way we are. How did we become this way? And then how do we continue to justify the things that we don't want and continue to keep ourselves away from the things that we do want?
That's incredible, man. That's so. And Facebook, I assume, is your main lead generation source then, if you've been posting.
Yeah.
Thousands of times.
Facebook, definitely.
Yeah, dude, that's so interesting. One of the things I get frustrated about, and I don't know if this is just modern social media culture or history repeating itself, but I hear a lot of guys now talk about money doesn't buy happiness. Okay, well, give it to me and I'll use it properly. Or like, well, I'd rather be crying in a Lamborghini than a shitty car. And I'm like, why do you have to be crying though? And I'm curious, like, do you think that is still relevant in terms of guys thinking, if I have the resource, I'll use it correctly, until they actually have the resource?
Yeah. If you get the resource without becoming the person, you're going to end up right where you started, and probably worse. The worst time in most highly successful people's lives is when they achieved what they thought they were going to feel a certain way about. So a boxing title, a national championship, a world championship at something, a gold medal in the Olympics. You can go and watch a bunch of these interviews of high level athletes. You can also talk to business owners. Once I hit this mark, or once I sold for this much, I thought I was going to be happy. And that's when my divorce started, right? That's when my kids stopped speaking to me. That's when this terrible thing happened, right on the cusp of the greatest thing that I've ever accomplished. And I think you only keep what you earn. You can get just about anything you want. You can grift, you can be a piece of shit, a manipulator, you can do whatever you want. You can get whatever you want by kind of whatever means you want, and like dark energy stuff you want to deploy. But you can only keep what you earn. And so if you apply that principle in life and in business, the job is just to go earn the thing. Like, I need to become the person who naturally has X, whatever outcome I want, whatever thing I want, the girl, the cars, the type of business, the level of business that you want. And again, I've had enough of these middle of the night phone calls from highly successful people and rich guys, crypto guys, movers and shakers in our industries that we both know, that anybody watching this is going to recognize some of the names, who got there and didn't bring with them the character, the foundation, the identity that they should have had along the way, that they should have been building along the way. Those people are left devoid, and they're not just left devoid. So you think about like a depression you have when you're broken, you've never learned how to make money, you have no idea what you're doing. Like, I remember living in a trailer. I remember trying to drive for Lyft and Uber. I remember my bank account going negative every single month. I remember what that was like. That despair and that difficulty, I would take that by far over the guy who's accomplished absolutely everything and ends up in the same spot.
Really?
Because he can't justify it. This is the problem. He can't justify it. I got everything I said I wanted. I got everything that I said I was looking for, and I still couldn't feel the way I wanted to feel. And that, the lack of what I thought was going to be there, is what digs you even deeper into hell than the person who's never had it in the first place. So I don't think it's helpful for those people, but I don't think also that doesn't ring true until you've experienced it, or until you've seen it over and over again with other people.
Yeah, there's so many things you said there that's gold that I want to touch on. But I first want to say, I love how you listed your like rich guys and crypto guys. Like, as
yeah, they're not legitimate businesses or overnight geniuses, but probably not.
Yeah, or guys who just know how to hit the right buttons at some certain points of time. What is becoming the person mean to you? Because I think a lot of guys scoff at that. I did for a long time. I'm like, that's stupid. That's fucking woo. That's not real. Like, you can't quantify that. That's woo woo bullshit. And then I had to learn the hard way in life. It's like, hey, are you getting it yet? Hey.
Yeah.
And then I got it. So what does that mean to you, becoming the person? And if you don't, you can earn as much as you want, but you have to earn what you keep, if I quoted that correctly.
Yeah, yeah, you can only keep what you earn.
You only keep what you earn. There we go.
So everything that's happened in our lives is attached to a story. And my story tells me something about myself. So if I'm hard-headed and obstinate, it's because it served me to up to a certain point. It got me through negotiations in the boardroom when I was first starting out. It got me to some point that it was a benefit to me. This is even true for anger. This is true for being aggressive. This is true for kind of being a wimpy bitch when it comes to women. Like, it worked for you to a certain degree. So you're naturally like going to hold on to it. What I pose to people is that I don't think you chose to be most of the things that you currently are. Your job is to become the person that you would have been stripped away of all these things. And then your job is to reattach those things with new stories. So you reattach old experiences with a new relationship to those experiences. And that is the person that gets to where you want to go and gets to keep it. But it's only through this process. It's through a stripping down process and a rebuilding process that you actually get to keep the thing that you said you wanted up here. And I have not found the magic pill yet to get somebody to absorb that and go, oh yeah, that applies to me. Because what we do instead is go, yeah, I hear these stories of the guy crying in his fucking Lamborghini, but give me the opportunity to do it. I'll do it way differently. You have to realize, like, you're not that guy, pal. Everybody has to realize that they're not that guy, pal, before they go back and go, all right, dude, let me take the fucking long road. It's like, it's so much easier to go, well, that's that guy. I'm not that guy. I'm not stupid like him. I'm not going to fall in the same trap he fell into, until you find yourself at the bottom of the trap and you go, damn it. All right, time to go back. So my hope for some people is, by podcasts like this, by working with guys, by putting out content consistently, is to help people shorten those gaps and shorten those timelines for themselves and go, maybe some of these cautionary tales actually do apply to me, and that I should start building this thing for myself right now in my 20s, so that I'm not angry, jaded, pissed off divorced guy in my 50s.
Yeah, dude, it's funny you say that, because I remember there was this client I worked with a little while ago, a couple years ago, and very successful, like very intelligent. When he talks, how he conceptualizes things, you can think like, oh wow, this guy's really sharp. But he ended up losing his mind at me. I refunded him and like said, hey man, I'm good. Like, have your money back. I don't want to do this anymore. And it's funny that when we would talk, and the project was supposed to be like a month, it only lasted like 10 days, 14 days before I was like, dude, I don't want to be a part of this. But one of the things he said to me that stuck out, where I was like, how are you not seeing this? Was he made a lot of money in like 4 or 5 different sectors. And they were all kind of different. Similarities for sure, because business and sales have similarities, but they're all quite different. It wasn't like Facebook ads and organic content. It was like used car sales and stock trading.
Sure.
And he was like, every single time I made $1 million, and I did in every industry, I was sitting at home alone in my room with my computer. And I was like, you ever stop to think why you have to be alone? And I just thought it was such an interesting mirror of like extremely successful, and from what he had told me, when he gets close to people, it just falls apart and it just can't keep it together. And so I thought that was super interesting, because what he was trying to build involved other people.
Well, it's also a sabotaging mechanism as well. Like, if I get close to people, I'm less effective, or I know they're going to leave me, so I might as well leave them first. And so let me be as distasteful as I possibly can. I think some people build themselves up subconsciously to be as distasteful as they possibly can to other people, because you can't leave me if I reject you first. You can't leave me if I don't need you in the first place. So yeah, I think we have so many different roads down to where we don't want to be, but most people end up there anyway. Like, it doesn't matter how you got there. Most people get there their own way, and again, attach their own stories. I have to be alone and a hermit in order to be successful was implanted somewhere in them, probably quite a while ago for that guy.
Yeah. And what do you, actually, I'll ask this first. Why do you think so many guys do that's another person, not me? I'll be different. Like, RIP to your grandma, but I'm different. If you ever see that tweet where my grandma's in Chernobyl.
I think I think we want to be different in the first place. I think that's part of success, is like wanting to stand out from the crowd, wanting to be different and special. And oftentimes it comes on the back of not feeling very different or special growing up. That gives us like this incessant need to be seen that way. This is where influencers come from. This is where a lot of coaches come from. I need to be seen as really cool and really fucking awesome and smarter than you and better than you. But also like make you feel like you could possibly be kind of like me, but not actually show you any of the things that actually get you there. So I think it does come from this need of like needing to feel like a special butterfly. And if I point that story to its end, then nobody else's stories or lessons apply to me because I'm just that much different than everybody else.
Yeah, no, dude, that's so well put. I think that's so great. Because I can resonate with that so much of like wanting to be different, wanting to just no matter what stick out and not
Yeah.
be a part of the crowd. I
But
think
like
one of
that's the
the
thing. That's
things.
a theme in and of itself. Like there are behavioral patterns of these people who believe this about themselves that I can track and I can show you 50 examples of friends, of family, of guys that I've worked with. And so you have to start recognizing how similar you are to many other people. And it may just not be in your level of awareness or in your circle that you see other people that are similar to you. But if you can go to somebody who has seen many examples of something like this, they can be the ones to tell you, hey, look, dude, I've seen a bunch of this. And yes, pieces of you are different than everybody else, but there are common threads and common themes that you can rely upon to give you information about yourself.
No, of course. If you don't mind me asking, what were some of the things that you noticed in your life when you started to do this deep introspection?
I think the biggest one was not being able to bulldoze my way through everything. Like for sports, I could just work harder. I could just hit harder. I could just run faster, have quicker feet, be smarter
Yeah,
than everybody else.
the life of an offensive lineman, right?
Yes. Yeah. And it would work better. Like it just worked. If I
Hmm.
work on this thing outside of the field, at training in the gym, footwork ladders, blah, 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 I'm going to show up better on the field. And it worked. And
Hmm.
it worked every single time. The off season proved itself during the season. And then I went into like the intangible, difficult, sometimes vacuous, like gook that is personal development. And I went, oh, trying harder isn't doing it for me anymore. Like, I can't push my way through this. What do I do? And there was like a softening, there's a receptivity that's required, even like taking on mentorship. You have to put yourself aside for the smarts and wisdom and intelligence of somebody else who has something that you're looking for that you can glean from that person. And you have to be willing to set this aside and just go, so it's not just push further and push harder, or you have to have run up against the wall multiple times, which I had to do. Run up against the wall of I'm pushing as hard as I can and it's still not working. And it's either beating your head against the wall to do that multiple times or sitting back and going, okay, what am I really, really not seeing here? What am I really not good at? Getting feedback from the people around you that allow you to see pieces of yourself that you weren't able to see before or that you can't see from inside the bottle, right? Can't see the label from inside the bottle, something like that.
Hmm.
Um, Let me take a step back and have people around me that can see pieces of myself that I can't see and recognize patterns and point out things that I can't see in myself and then help me figure out because they care about me what to do about that.
Yeah, dude, it's so true what you're saying. And I remember this one time you posted a story about guys being afraid to see who they are outside of building, which is why they're always in like work mode. They're always like, I have to, negotiate at work with the kids, with my wife. I remember this one time I was talking to a client of mine, and he was talking about a friend of his who was going through a really hellish divorce,
Mm,
really really struggling. His kids weren't talking to him, and he was like worth I think almost 8 figures, massive house, car, the whole 9 yards. And he told my buddy, like, I would do anything to just give it all away and have my life be fixed and, have a good relationship with my kids. And I told a good mentor of mine that. And he's like, no, he wouldn't, because he can. Like, there's nothing stopping him
yeah, you
from
could.
actually working on his relationship with his kids. But he's afraid to step away from the things he's familiar with in order to actually choose differently.
Yeah, there's the devil right? And I talk about this a lot. I don't think people would give up their problems if they could actually, if they could, because then they'd have to go figure something else out. They'd have to go into this like wasteland of building an identity for yourself and figuring out who you actually want to be. And that's scary as shit. So let me just go back over here with all my garbage. And I'm happy with my garbage because I know what it is. I know how to navigate it. I know what it does to me. I think about my last relationship before my wife. Like my ex was bipolar and had a borderline personality disorder. From the outside, it looked chaotic as hell. Really? It felt like comfort. It was comfortable chaos because I know what the patterns are. I know when she's about to get riled up. I know Monday through Thursday she's going to be just fine and we're going to be happy and we're going to have a pretty good relationship. Thursday she's going to go drinking with her brother. She's going to go home and tell me to go fuck myself and then she's going to her parents' house. I'm not going to talk to her. I'm going to have a free weekend. Like at first this was terrible and oh my gosh, what did I do wrong? Eventually, 2 years in, it was cool. She's going to go to her parents' house. I know exactly where she is. I know she's safe-ish. I'm going to go spend my weekend with my friends or working or doing whatever I want. Sunday morning, I know I'm going to wake up to a text. Hey, I'm really sorry about being such a bitch to you. Can I come home? And I'm going to say yes. And we're going to start the whole cycle over again. But because I knew what it was, I actually felt like at the time, I can probably deal with this forever. Now, probably not marrying her, and I'm probably not like bringing kids in this world with this person, but I could deal with it for an unlimited amount of time. Like it's indefinite how long I could deal with it because I know exactly what it is. There's a game plan. It's written out. Even though it sucks, I never considered, like you said, crying in a Lamborghini. You never consider that you don't have to be crying. So I'd rather be crying in a Lamborghini. You don't think about you could just be happy in a Lamborghini. Um, and so I didn't ever consider that life could just be better than this. It was, oh, I just know how to navigate this. So this is what I do now. And I was willing to take a lot of the concessions because I knew how to navigate them. It was really scary going off into, you know, unknown territory and saying, what do I actually want? What could I actually get if I decided I deserve something more? That's way, way scarier. So let me just stay over here instead.
Yeah, dude, it's so funny that you bring that up. I completely just lost what I was going to say. Oh yeah, no, a great mentor of mine said a lot of people ask the question of like, how do we make this better? But we need more people with the courage to say, should we even be doing this in the first place?
Yeah,
Like,
it's the Jurassic Park. Like we spent so much time thinking whether we could, we didn't stop to think whether we should.
yeah, whether it was a good idea too. So what
Yeah,
was for you in that relationship? Like, what was your final breaking point? You know, Sunday through Thursday was a ball. Friday, Saturday was some turmoil, but you can handle it.
yeah.
Then Sunday was a slow ramp up. Like, how did you finally reach your limit?
It became more real that I knew I wanted to be a husband and a father,
Mm,
and that to her, marriage was a yes, but then kids was like only because I wanted them. Would she have had kids? And for me, I knew I needed somebody who was excited about both of those things, like
yeah,
and about both those things with me specifically. And I think that started kind of weighing on me. And as I started getting like more and better mentorship and actually letting my mentors in to like hear about my personal world, um, it started just kind of eating at me where I just started going like pushing back on the things that I would normally be like, all right, whatever, just say whatever you want. I would start pushing back more. And then I
mm,
would start telling myself, like, okay, next time she blows up like this, I confront it directly. And then if it's not met with X, then I'm out. And I think she
yeah,
started noticing that I was doing that. And so she started acquiescing way quicker to like keep me on board of like, okay, if he's pushing back now, I need to acquiesce to this certain extent to keep him around.
yeah,
And I just decided one day, like the next blow up, the next thing, no matter what it is, really, I'm done and I'm out. And what's funny is after like 2 months, it didn't happen. And she didn't blow up and she didn't freak out. And I ended up having to one day just do it anyway and
that's
just
so
go,
funny.
like, it's, you could just literally write the story of like, it was just always right in front of me. And it
Yeah,
was just far further than I was willing to reach. And then
uh-huh.
eventually one day I just had to go, oh, it actually didn't matter. Like I was looking for the next blow up as an excuse to do what I know I need to do. Let me just do the thing. And it was a calm, unfortunately, like very calm, difficult, like sad conversation. Like I felt sad. I wanted to feel angry, right? I wanted to
Mm,
be in the middle of an argument. And then I just stick to my guns and no, you need to move out and you need to go to your parents' place.
yeah,
But it was just sad because everything was okay and things were fine. But it still wasn't what I was looking for.
yeah, dude, that's so funny you say that because the relationship I was in before the one I'm in now, I remember, and nothing against this woman, you know, have nothing but good things to say about her. I think she's great. But I remember there was this one moment where she made a comment to me about, it was like kind of like an offhand remark, and I didn't think it was very accurate about me being somebody who could just use her. And I remember just like my body physiology just changed. And I was like I literally heard my body go like, we're not doing this anymore. Like we've been through
And
this.
we're done.
We're not. And I was kind of like, no, it's fine. And like it was before bed, so we were kind of like, I was like, whoa, like, do you actually mean that? She's like, no, I'm sorry, I'm just frustrated, blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I was like trying to negotiate with the voice. I was like, see, she's sorry. It's okay, it's okay. The next day, I woke up. I was so sick, crazy high fever, gnashing headache, coughing, was fucking gushing with snot. I couldn't move. I had such bad aches and pains. And I think that was my body being like, are you ready to finally listen to me? Or like, what do I need to do for you to stop doing this?
Yeah. Yeah. It knows. It knows. And you knew. but
Yeah.
you needed something more extreme.
Yeah. And no matter, and I think, and not to her detriment, but I think for the first day or two, she kind of thought that like I was overdoing it or just kind of being the person who gets sick and is like out of commission. But like I literally couldn't walk to like the fridge. She's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." I kept trying to negotiate with the voice, and every time contract talks would start, the voice would be like, "Please stop this."
Yeah.
Like, please stop doing this. Like, and it doesn't have to be like this. Fuck you, you're a bitch, and she's a terrible. No, it doesn't have to be that. It could just be like, I'm not looking for this. And like, you don't have to pretend your needs don't exist. You know what they are. You finally figure them out. Like, honor them. And if you don't, like, I'm just gonna keep failing, and we can play this game as long as you want.
Yeah. There's a death by 1,000 cuts thing that goes on. I think in most scenarios, like once it gets this bad and it just never gets that bad, or once this one specific like big blow up thing happens. I posted about this a few weeks ago about like why the whole red pillar, like 70% of women initiate divorces, or 70% of divorces are initiated by women, and we never ask why. We never know what that is. And I think part of it, like as men, we're willing to just sit through shit as long as it's not at least this. Like as long as it's under 100 degrees, I'm going to be okay. And I'll be like, it can be 99, a million days in a fucking row, and I'm still going to sit out here and sweat my balls off. But as long as it doesn't hit 100, I'll stay here forever. And these things, and it resets every day is the thing. Like the thing that came from yesterday, I have cleared it from my mind. It is a new day. I'm on to something new. And you don't realize these small things that have been building up for her over time. And that eventually, that one day that she does go file for divorce, or say we need to seek couples counseling or therapy or whatever it is, because it can show up in a bunch of different ways. You saw that as a sudden slight. Like, what? Nothing was terrible. I didn't cheat on you. I didn't do something horrible. I didn't abandon the family. What the hell is this? Where'd this come from? And you're not realizing everything that to her was intermingled and had to do with one another. You saw as all separate events. And I think, again, gearing yourself in that direction and learning how to understand how other people operate and process is helpful to recognize where those small things are happening in all different areas of your life. What are the small moral concessions you're making? What are the small things that you're doing improperly that eventually culminate into something big?
Yeah, sorry, I almost jumped in and cut you off there. I think what you said is super interesting. I think also some guys have the gear of, it could be 99 every day. And even if it is 100, as long as I know when it's going to be 100, I'll be fine. Like, okay.
Just put it on my calendar. I'll be okay with it.
I'll mentally prepare for it. I'll go to war that day. But then we'll keep riding it out. Why do you think guys have that ability to compartmentalize or to try to put things in neat little boxes compared to women who clearly, by the numbers and the reasoning you're talking about, which I agree with, isn't the same?
Well, I think we'd break down otherwise, I think is a big piece of it. Like if everything that I regret or I'm scared of or I'm nervous about or am wondering if it's going to work out properly, all flooded in at once, I'd be overwhelmed and I wouldn't be able to like do literally anything. I wouldn't be able to be with my wife and kids. I wouldn't be able to serve my clients. I wouldn't be able to sit and work. I wouldn't be able to do literally anything if it all hit you at once. So I think it's probably a defense mechanism of some kind that we're able to push things off for later in our minds. And that can also be to a detriment as well.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think you touched upon something that I wanted to talk about, because there was a period of time where I was really into red pill stuff. And I know the reason for me is, ready? Drum roll, please. I was hurt deeply. But
crazy.
Yeah.
I would have never guessed. I would have never guessed.
I thought, I was like, man, this guy's been doing men's work for like almost a decade now. He's a dad. He's got a wife. I don't think he's going to get this one. I think I got him stumped. I think that he's never seen this one before in his life. But it sounds so good. It's like that phrase of somebody trying to warn you sounds like they're trying to help, and somebody telling you how good things can be sounds like they're selling you a dream, like they're one of those fucking timeshare salesmen.
Yeah, snake
but
oil.
You don't realize how, the light at the end of the tunnel is a train until the train hits you and you're like, ouch, fuck, that hurt. And I'm no closer to my goals. Why do you think a lot of guys allow themselves to be swept up in that? And even though it keeps hurting them, they don't get off the train.
Mm-hmm. So it's also selling you a dream is the problem. It's selling you a more convenient dream without work. And I think that's the difficulty. It is allowing you to not only accept your insecurities and your biases and your limiting beliefs and blah, blah, blah. It also paints an enemy for those and why it's somebody else's fault. And then it paints a picture of you triumphing over those with having no work to heal them. So if I don't have to walk through this in order to get to the other side, let me find literally any other way to do it. If you can tell me I can retreat back into my insecurities and my lacks and my fears, and enough retreating into those will just what catapult me over the trench. Yeah, sign me up. It can be somebody else's fault. It wasn't my job, and it's other people's fault that society is failing and that marriage is like this and that 70% of this and 98% of women are blah blah blah. If somebody is consistently validating, you can continue retracting into your insecurities and build up an armor of insecurity around your insecurities, and eventually you'll end up on the other side because they sell you this image of the other side. That sounds really appealing, and that sounds romantic actually to somebody who does not want to walk through what is very difficult and having conversation around my own lacks and fears and what I feel disadvantaged in, and where I think life has been unfair to me, or people have been unfair to me, or my dad didn't give me what I thought I needed as a kid. My mom didn't do this. It's so much easier than trudging through the emotional swamp, I guess, of what I need to do about my emotions. It's so much easier to shut off, run back, and go, eventually, this is just going to work itself out, or it'll all burn to the ground.
Yeah, dude, it's funny. I remember when part of my like come to Jesus moment was, have you ever read the book Why Men Love Bitches?
No, I've heard
it's like, yeah, it's like it's from the late '90s or something, early 2000s. But it was essentially like red pill for women, but like actual red pill, not like how people say feminist is a mirror of red pill. But it was like, become avoidantly attached with a nicer wrapping on it. And I was on the podcast with this woman, and she was like, "Yeah, but isn't red pill stuff just like why men love bitches, but for men?" And I was like, "No, it's not." And she like told me, and I was like, "Oh yeah, it is."
Yeah, you ever seen a pickup artist sales video? That's what it is.
No,
Negging.
no, but
it's just that.
Oh yeah, neg, dude. I think the best one I ever heard was this guy told me, he's like, when you're talking to a woman, you always should mention teeth, because then she'll want to have sex with you. I was like,
teeth, dude. Duh. It's wild, dude. I mean, I work with a lot of guys who come off of like working with dating coaches, and I just always ask them, do they have what you want? Well, yeah, they're talking to a bunch of girls and like they're going out to the bars, always in like Bali or Thailand. No offense. But like in third world countries, maybe second world countries sometimes, and they're like the only American white guy in the entire place. Wow, this is really easy. And so they create a course on it. And I was like, you think about a video game. If you wanted somebody to walk you through a video game, like this is with the presupposition, and I make everybody clarify before I bring up this analogy, you eventually want a wife and kids. You eventually want to be good at marriage. You want to be good at relationships. You want to build a strong family. Like you want a nuclear family. Yes? Okay. Now think about you hiring somebody who has gotten really good at level 1 of a video game. What do you do when you go to level 2? They've beaten level 1 10,000 times. This guy has a body count of 1,200, blah, blah, blah. Like we've all heard of that guy who has done level 1 to the nth degree. He can get like all headshots, or he can go down and like melee every opponent all throughout level 1. He knows all the secret little corners and the ins and outs. What do you do when it's time to go to level 2? And what would he do if he had to go to level 2? He'd freak the fuck out. So what do you do instead? Or he went to level 2 and he was like, oh, emotional connection? No. I gotta be what? No, I have to be like stand up and responsible for shit and stick to my word and what? No, absolutely not. I have to listen to what she thinks and how she feels about what I just did. Nah, I'm not interested in all that. Let me go back. Yeah. And so they get really good at the first level of doing this thing called relating. And they do a really bad job of that because they're using cheat codes. They're using like little hacks and tricks to do the whole thing. So they've never actually approached anything honestly, let alone the other 99% of what relating looks like, which is past the first 1 or 2 dates.
Yeah, no, it's like that. You ever watch How I Met Your Mother?
Yes.
Yeah, when Barney and Robin first start dating, like, we have this really easy solution for when we have a fight. Barney's like, I just leave. And Robin's like, I just get naked. And then they're in the part where he can't leave and she can't get naked, and their relationship completely falls apart.
Damn it. It didn't work. Yeah, there's no plan B either for those people. It's just, all right, on to the next one.
Yeah, there was this really interesting scenario I was in a couple of years ago. I had this client. He was a lawyer, and I can't remember what his girlfriend was doing, but she was like in an industry that like directly competed with what he was fighting for as a lawyer. And he sent us some content. He's like, yeah, My girlfriend said lawyers like me are making the world a worse place. So fuck her. I got to shore up with this piece of content. Let me know when you can get it up. I was like, do you like this woman? Like, are you okay?
Yeah, brother. Love her, but fuck her.
I was like, you do know you can date people you want to see succeed, right? You don't have to date somebody who you think is your mortal enemy and just
Oh, I gotta be the
continuously
only
do
one.
battle.
How else am I gonna get my content?
How else am I going to keep the grift going?
Yeah.
I think that's something that's kind of shown up more and more in the social media age, obviously, is that people build this brand off this one thing. And because there isn't a lot of depth to it, because there isn't a lot of like reflection or thought as to like, what am I building and like, why am I building and like, what is the outcome that I'm trying to get building in this direction, they pigeonhole themselves into this really stupid corner, and you can't move off it. Otherwise you look like an idiot, or you have to admit you were wrong, or the money stops coming in because you're not grifting anymore.
Well, the other side's going to take advantage, I think, is a lot of it. So I see this in religion and in politics a lot, is if I concede any ground, then they'll take advantage of that and see that as weakness and take up that ground that I just conceded. And so neither one can be honest about what they actually think and believe. You only have to toe the party line. And we do this for our own insecurities, our own biases as well. If I concede that I may have been possibly wrong in any of it, you're going to not see me as a confident person. You're not going to trust me. You're not going to respect me. You're not going to do business with me. So actually, for a lot of people in the influencer space and in the coaching space, you're not allowed to grow, because growing would change your messaging, would soften oftentimes the way that you approach things. And that feels like a death of what you've built up around your insecurities, around your biases, around your lacks, your fears, your blah, 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 blah. So it feels like that would be a regression of some kind. And so if I don't want to give up what I've built around the shell that I've built around what I'm not, I can't concede any ground. I can't grow in any sense, because growth would almost take my superpowers away. It's like, yeah, they're like, I'm thinking about a bunch of similarities with like online meme culture of like, yeah, the lady came in and gave me this Ritalin that took my superpowers away in second grade. Like I couldn't be my full like online autistic self. That it feels like healing would take away your superpowers of some sort.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember there was this one, Kanye released a song back in like 2017 or something. And he was like, being bipolar is my superpower. And I saw a bunch of people like say that a bunch afterwards. And I'm like, I don't know if that's true. Like, I wouldn't say that, but it can, be more authentic to who you are. But I think sometimes people get lost in like what they think are their defining features and just ride it out till the end. Like, no matter what, I'm the hard guy. I gotta be hard all the time. I'm the aggressive guy. I gotta be aggressive all the time.
Yeah, you attach one element that could be part of a bigger picture of your identity, and you just say, well, I'm only this. Because again, it's so much easier to be just this, as opposed to I got to be a collection of multiple things. Some of them don't jive super well together, and I have to figure out how to navigate around each other. But it's so much easier just to take up the mantle for one cause and one thing, or one, I'm not going to get hurt again, so I'm going to be the hardest motherfucker you ever met. David Goggins is a perfect example of this. I'm going to be one dimensional, but I'm going to be really good at being one dimensional.
Yeah. Yeah.
But hope to get a full life out of it, which is where it falls apart.
I find guys like Goggins very interesting, and no shade against him. I think it's very impressive what he does.
Mm-hmm.
But I almost find that people like him, or like Michael Jordan, or Elon, or the people who are at the top of their powers, can be some of the worst role models to look up to. And it's not to say, you don't have respect for Michael Jordan working super hard, or Elon wanting to innovate in a certain business industry or whatever. But if I asked 99% of guys, would you actually want to switch lives with these people? Because you can't pick and choose.
Yeah,
with the people
you need the whole
right?
thing.
Which one would you pick? They'd be like, I'm good. I'm good. And so I think they're actually some of the worst role models you can have.
What's sad is that I think we are actually in a place where people would take it.
Really?
They would regret it, but they would definitely take it. If you could switch roles with Elon Musk right now and tell everybody, and then what you'd have to do is interview them 2 weeks after and go, hey, stupid fucking move, wasn't it? And they go, I hate it here. Like, yeah. You're just not built that way. Like, there is a level of psychopathy that needs to be built into people like that. Like, you have to be a different person. You can't keep your brain and go switch lives with that person. You'd be miserable. You probably wouldn't survive. They need to be that in order to feel satiated in that way. and they've told themselves they have to give up everything else. So would you go to Elon for parenting advice? We see what his kids post about them. We see how his kids have turned out. We see like so many different things about this. Like, yes, high performer, also really fucking bad in so many other places.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael Jordan, like, does Michael Jordan have close friends that you know of?
I don't think so. I mean, look at, let's just use Scottie Pippen as an example. Like, that was supposed to be his running mate. And how many beefs did he have after they retired? Like, there was this really great YouTube documentary I watched. Nobody should, I mean, it's exceptional, but it's about the 2012 Charlotte Bobcats, the worst basketball team ever. And shout out to the Bobcats, man. It was just about it was about a lot of things to do with basketball in Charlotte. It was really well put together. I'm like, I can't believe this is free. And one of the storylines I thought that was so interesting was how the shadow works so interestingly. Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time to some people. If other people want to say LeBron, I'm not going to.
Not to some people. Don't do that. Michael Jordan's the greatest basketball player of all time.
Okay, I'll accept that. I believe that too. I just wasn't sure if you're a LeBron fan. I had to take 10 minutes.
It doesn't matter if you're a LeBron fan. They need to come to reality. It's okay.
I agree with you. Second is 2012 Allen Anderson on the Raptors. No, but so he's the greatest basketball player ever, untouchable. Nobody can fuck with him. Undefeated in the finals, and he's an owner of this horrible, decrepit, terrible basketball team. That's the worst, and they literally went on like a 23 or 24 game losing streak to cement their place. They're like, "Hey guys, we just got to win one more." And we're not the worst team ever. And they literally could not do it. And before the season, he had a chance to re-sign Kwame Brown, the guy he picked first overall and whose life he ruined and, had an opportunity. And he was actually playing well. Kwame Brown got a better offer by the Warriors and signed for more money. And the whole season, the Bobcats lacked a decent big. And it's like, that's so poetic that if Michael Jordan just paid the guy whose life he ruined like 10 years ago, you're not the worst basketball team ever. So it's just interesting to see how the shadow goes. If you don't know how to control it, you can be super great. And then the crash is super hard.
Yeah. And like what we don't find, because like Michael Jordan's a good example. He's out of the limelight now. So nobody can go sit and interview him and say, what would you have done differently? What do you regret? What do you wish you had done more of? What would you wish you have done less of? We talk about the greatness. And I think the greatness is great. Like we can't take away from the greatness. But I also want to know who the person is. Like one of my good friends, and this was not an insight that I thought I was going to get from this friend. I didn't know he was like, had this depth of thought to him until like we actually sat down and chatted with one another. We're like fun friends. I see him once a week. And we don't get into like deep discussions very often. But he's like, everybody says they want to do what I do. He owns a semi-legal company that like is really fun for like college age guys. And he's like, everybody thinks they want to do what I do, but they have no idea the direction I'm going. They don't know where I'm heading. And he's like, I don't think you should ever take advice from somebody unless you know where they're going.
Wow, that's good.
And I was like, hold on. Yeah. Yeah, like people take a snapshot of where they see you right now and they say, I want that. And they don't know what comes with it. They don't know what it is behind the scenes. They don't know what your marriage looks like. They don't know what your family dynamic looks like. They don't know what you actually want or if you even want this at all in the first place. They want the snapshot of what they think they would do with your circumstances.
Yes.
And unless they know where you're going, you should absolutely not hop on that boat. But you should find out before you learn from somebody, interact with somebody in a deep way. You should know where they're heading. You should know if they want to be where they are right now. You should know what they would do differently and different. Like this is why I love doing my interviews. I got to find people who were on paper, oh my God, I would love to trade places. And I heard stories and I was like, never mind. Have that back. I'll be broke 19-year-old. I'll be fine. I'll be broke 19-year-old. You keep your shit over there.
Yeah. Something you said about the Michael Jordan, him being out of the limelight is interesting because somebody who's still in the limelight and is of that era, Shaq. Have you seen an interview with him? They asked if you could go back and do it differently. Like, what would you do differently? He's like, I would have kept my family together. My biggest regret is cheating on my wife and ruining my family. That fucked up so many things for me. And it's like, this guy's...
it impacted his career too.
Yeah.
We see the rings and we go like he was at the height of the height. He was nowhere close. Shaq should have been the greatest basketball player of all time.
Easily.
Like not even close.
Easily. I agree.
I think the personal life impacted because it was still great. We only see it as great. We don't see how far it was from what it could have been. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the difficulty for a lot of people. We see greatness as the pinnacle. What we don't see oftentimes is how much greater they could have been if they had just done this instead, if they had just done this differently.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's what they're going to focus on. They're not at home rubbing their rings and, oh, the trophy. They're thinking like, God, I fucked up. God, I ruined it with the right woman. God, I did that. Like, I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with somebody who's like, I let the right woman slip out of my fingers because I was focused on this. I was doing this other thing. I was doing blah, 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 and I'll never find her again. And some of these guys are married with kids now and go, I know the love of my life I met 30 years ago and I fucked it up. And it's even worse when it is the mother of their kids because they have to like still see her and they have to see her move on and they have to see her with somebody else.
ouch. Yeah.
And somebody less successful. Like, think about going through all that of like, I'm this great fucking, you leave me for this bum, and she's happy as all get out with him and your alimony money, blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm having a great time. And you're like, I'm way better than him. You're not. You're not.
Yeah.
She picked you. She picked this guy who seems to have nothing compared to you going for him over you because you're so atrophied in this other area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, there's so many directions we could take it, but I think what you said is so good because I see a lot of guys. I hate this so much. It drives. I shouldn't let this drive me crazy. Like, there's a list of things where I'm like, I shouldn't let this drive me nuts, but it does.
But it does.
Yeah. When it's great, it's awesome.
Yeah.
When guys say like, yeah, I had to break up with my girlfriend because I needed to lock in, and I'm like, you didn't. You could have had both.
Yeah, the
You
right woman doesn't talk
chose.
to locking in. I'm spending 4 days this week away from my family because my wife and I communicate properly, and I need to work on things that I'm coming up and launching in the new year, and I need 4 days to myself, and
Yeah.
we're doing that. Like, you really don't need to do that to lock in.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking your time to do this, by the way, if you need 4 days. Like,
Yeah, of course.
That means a lot,
Of
seriously.
course. You prioritize what's important.
Because, dude,
all-
even in the relationship I'm in now, like, there have been so many times where my girlfriend's showed me love or genuine respect if I'm just not at my peak or, like, what I deem to be my most worthy. And, like, my mind goes to, like, why? Like, what are you doing? And, like, I have to work to be like, hey, don't let that fuck things up or, like, go down an unhealthy path. But, like, I can still hear that voice. And so I resonate with people who struggle with that. But it can be hard to, like, really see it for what it is.
Christmas project. I think so. There's also a room to be to a certain degree vulnerable about that with the person that you're with too. Of like, I don't feel worthy when I'm not producing, and that's something I'm working on. That's something I need to like start dealing with. But I want to make you aware of it. When you give me compliments, when I don't feel like I think of all the things that I'm not doing that I could be doing. And when you compliment me, that's all I think about. I don't actually think about anything that I'm actually accomplishing or that would make me feel worthy of this compliment that I'm getting from you. All I think of are these other things. And that's something I need to work on. And I think it is something that's important to be open with your person about, if that's actually your person, not you specifically, but anybody, that it is good to give them a little peek into your internal processing. Not all of it, not all at once, but a peek into here's like, you think I have everything all together at all times. I'm showing you a little bit of what I deal with and what I have difficulty with, knowing that I'm still going to keep the ship right, knowing that I'm still going to, like, I'm still a safe person to be around. And I do have faults. I do have insecurities. I do have things that, are difficult for me to communicate.
Totally. Yeah, it's one of my mentors told me, he said, there's a difference between being open and really being willing to be seen and making your woman your therapist.
Mm-hmm.
One is very healthy, the other one is not. And you have to know, like, it's not something that I can give you, like, these are the rules and this is in the book and you got to read it, like, but it's something that you got to have to finesse a little bit.
Well, there's a big piece. Are you making her responsible for it? That is the piece that starts feeling heavy, is if you make me responsible for it. You can tell me about it. But if you're making me responsible for your shit, whatever it is, with your parents, with, what your teacher told you when you were in third grade, the turmoil that you just carry up in your head, if you make me responsible for it, you're being an asshole. If you're sharing it with me and then also talking about solutions or talking about what to do with it or talking about how you're processing it healthfully, that's a benefit. What we do instead is we dump it on people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry, 1 second. It's getting really dark over here. I got to put a
All good.
Yeah, and you're 100% right. I think something I found that's really helpful to, it's glaring on my glasses, something I found really helpful when I'm communicating, and this goes beyond the relationship, is like, hey, this happened, this is how I feel, this is how I'm processing it. I don't think this is fair to put on anybody. I'm not doing that, but I just want to express it because I don't want there to be any lingering shit. This is how I'm dealing with it, XYZ. How do
Yep.
you feel? So that's it's like complete ownership instead of being like, why did you do XYZ? Well, this is your fault, et cetera,
Yeah.
et cetera.
Yeah, it's not me versus you because of the problem. It's me and you against the problem.
What do you think being married, because you've been married, how many years have you been married now? Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What do you think you've learned? It's been the biggest lesson for you as a married man.
What she thinks and feels always matters. Um, I used to take it like case by case. Like I'm going to decide whether this matters or not. And while I may have a rebuttal for something or like I may disagree about something, how you feel I can never argue with, and I'm never supposed to argue with. What we do about it or how that contends with how I feel in certain areas, we can have a conversation about. But feelings are always valid no matter what. Where they come from, what they stemmed from, is it me or is it somebody else? Is it me or your childhood? Is it me or your parents? Is it me or something else? Can all be navigated separately, but that the other person's thoughts and feelings are 100% valid 100% of the time, then we have to decide what we do with them.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I think that's such a great way of going about it because, like, even if you don't think it's fair to be upset at me, like, it's fine to be upset at me. And if you say it, it often takes the charge out of it, where it's like, you said this thing and it just really pissed me off because of XYZ. Okay, I'm sorry I upset you. Like, I didn't mean to. Now there's like a meeting place at least, instead of being like, well, that's not what I meant. What the hell's wrong with you? And then you go down this laundry list of how many red pillars and beanies on YouTube you watched, and it's this whole thing. And
Well, I realized I could always write women off because, like, my mom was over the top. Everything made her cry. And so when she cried, I was like, Even still to this day, like, my mom will cry about something. I'm like, all right, here we go. I never know when something's important because everything was a 10 out of 10 emergency fire. And so I just got so like, oh, let me just dismiss this. Like, it's probably not a big deal. It's probably not a big deal. And then with my ex, again, like, she's just being crazy. Oh, she's just being crazy. I don't have to ever validate anything that's going on or dig through and figure out why or what is happening. This is the first like healthy relationship where we actually both have to do the work to disseminate why you got to this point, because I know you're not just crazy. I know you're not just being dramatic. I know you're not just over the top. So because I know these things, we then have to actually deal with what's in front of us. Where before, I was always able to cast it aside. My mom's being dramatic. My mom's over the top. Yeah, she still is. She's in her 50s now, and she's over dramatic and over the top. And I love her, and she lives 2 blocks away from me. Like, this isn't a dig in that case. And then again with my ex, oh, she's crazy. She's a crazy person who's being medicated. Yes, I can just pass off whatever she's saying. I don't have to have the responsibility of digging through and figuring out where it's actually coming from. And in this relationship, I do.
yeah, and it's interesting is as soon as you got real with yourself, things started shifting. Oh, I don't have to wait for there to be a blow up. Is this really what I want? Am I really okay with this being my circumstances for the rest of my life? And then you have to be the one who says either yes, I am, and okay, that's your decision and you're responsible for it. And people are allowed to want what they want, or no. And I am going to have the courage to allow myself to want something else.
And then you learn from it. Like, my wife and I front loaded our relationship with a lot of the difficult conversations that we should have had, like that we definitely should have had. We started doing all those like from date one, from, the first few times interacting with each other. We started doing the difficult conversations till 3, 4 a.m. and relating to one another. When I see people 10, 15, 20 years into a relationship that are just now figuring out, oh, that's a conversation we probably should have had. Oh, that's something that we kind of missed. And we still don't know how to navigate this properly that far in the future. Like, communication was something we got down very, very quickly, so that now it's pretty easy to just, hey, here's where we're at. Hey, we need to talk about this. Hey, this perturbed me. This was difficult for me. It's just so much easier to navigate because we front loaded the difficulty, so that now everything's like a 2 out of 10, and there's really never a 6 out of 10 is an emergency for us. There's never 8s. There's never 9s. We don't have blow up anythings. We don't yell at each other. We don't cuss at each other literally ever. So it doing a little bit more frictionful activity on the front end, when you have the most grace for the other person and you have the most grace from the other person, allows us to never have the big emergency blowups now.
Yeah, dude, that's so well said. I remember when I was graduating high school, it was about 2016, and I was starting to learn about the world of politics. And at the time, obviously, especially in America, it was very alive. It wasn't just the typical politics, political landscape that people knew. It was very new, very different. And I remember seeing this tweet where somebody's like, could you imagine being married to somebody and then you find out they support so-and-so and just blows up your marriage of 30 years? And I thought, like, I was 18. I was like, fuck, that's deep. And I think about it, I'm like, you should do some excavating. And, like, of course, everybody has their own political beliefs, and that's fine, and I respect that. But, like, if you don't do that type of discovery first, if you don't have those conversations, if you aren't willing to have those conversations, you might end up in that situation, like I said with that lawyer, where it's like, yeah, I got to show that bitch up. Like, let's run this. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah. And this far into your relationship, however long they've been together, like, you've obviously been together long enough, but have not communicated to the point where you know where she stands on these different issues.
Yeah. Yeah. So
it's hard.
It's just a massive.
People do the opposite too, where they just lead with that. What are your political beliefs? Like right at the beginning of like the first date, and you go, Jesus Christ, get me away from this person. Even if we believe the same thing, I'm scared of you.
Yeah.
Get away from me.
Exactly. That's so fun. I had somebody try to convince me. They're like, do you have internalized racism? And I was like, what's that? And they're like, well, it's where somebody's been so racist to you, you don't even notice it. And I thought about it, and I was like, no, that wasn't my thing growing up. Like, that might be other people's experience, but
yeah.
I was just a socially awkward kid. I looked kind of goofy, had terrible social skills, didn't know when to be quiet, and just wanted to run around all the time. I got bullied by like everybody of every different race. I was like, no. They're
equal
like,
opportunity racism.
Yeah, I was the affirmative action for bullying. Everybody got to take
Everybody gets a hit. Dear Lord, line up and joke about Nicholas, please.
And so I was like, no, that wasn't my thing. She's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And she's
Are you
like,
trying to
like,
give me your trauma?
Yeah, I'm like, can you please stop doing this to me?
Yeah. Again, it goes like anything. It just goes too far.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
we're talking about this like with consent. They came through this like, what was it, 10 years ago with like consent during like sexual things in college, and you have to ask for consent at every step along the way. And I go, like dried up everybody's gonna get if you're having to do that. Or you just read the room, or you just don't go over the top, or you just make sure that you're sure before you do the next thing. Like, if we're just socially aware, we can get through most of this. You're going to have some awkward shit happen, right? You're going to have, oh, that was a little too far. Oh, maybe a little bit too much. But if you're constantly trying to be aware, you're going to do most things right. And I think that is business, that is life, that is relationships. If you're just trying to be aware of yourself and of the other person, and what's their perspective, what's my perspective, where do we differ, where are we the same, we're going to get through most things.
Yeah. No, I agree with that completely. Let me just, okay, the time. My eyes aren't super strong. I got a couple more questions I want to ask before I let you go. I appreciate you doing this. Biggest lesson you've learned from being a dad? You got 2 kids. They're both fairly young.
It highlighted the uniqueness with which you have to approach each person. I can't love my son the same way I love my daughter. I can't discipline my son the same way. I can't relate to my son the same way as I relate to my daughter. They require totally different skill sets from me. And I relate this a lot to clients. I relate this a lot to other friends too. That everybody comes kind of with their own little presets. And you don't realize until oftentimes you have kids, like, some of this stuff is just ingrained really, really quickly. Like, we go into gender stuff, we go into whatever. Like, some people have just very, very different propensities from the very beginning, having nothing to do with you. My son has never seen me jump off a rock and see, how far I can jump or how high I can jump off of it. Not once in his life. And that's all the little motherfucker does. He has never seen me jump like his dump truck off of his little roller coaster ramp on the backyard. Never, not once has he seen me do it. The little man does it every single day. There are just some things that are embedded in him. Like the softness of my daughter, she could not take criticism. She could not take a stern look from me. Legit will like make her cry. And I've only done it a few times, and she will like legit put herself in the corner, screaming, crying, "Daddy looked at me scary," because she like shoved my son off the couch head first. Like, did something actually dangerous where I had to raise my voice or something, or even just shoot her over a look. And the softness of her. Whereas my son, like, every time he hits her, I grab him and pull him close to me. And like, Dad's stronger than you. If we start hitting people, do I get to start hitting people too? And like with a nice like smile, but for him, there needs to be a physical repercussion where we don't spank our kids, but there needs to be some like, you're not in charge here, physical thing followed up with, "I love you so much," hug, kiss, blah, blah, blah. He understands. Whereas my daughter needs to be approached completely differently. Like, I couldn't possibly do that. She wouldn't speak to me for a week if I did that. And it wouldn't be helpful. Not only like, oh, it's sad that my daughter won't talk to me, but like it wouldn't be helpful. It wouldn't land. Whereas if I tried the soft approach with my son, it wouldn't land. He'd be like, fuck you, dude. I'm gonna go do some other shit. Watch.
How do you figure that out? I mean, obviously there's trial and error, but like, is there another thing that helps that kind of come to life?
Paying attention.
But yeah, that's what parents are supposed to do.
Again, it's a big piece of it. And it's harder for dad. I don't interact with them nearly as much as my wife does. Even though I work from home, she has way more time with them. And so we talk about it. Like if I've gone over the top maybe once with like disciplining my son, I think the communication with your partner is a big piece of it, but then also just attuning like what your kid responds to, what lights them up, what makes them mad, what makes them sad, what makes them like any of the range of emotions that they can possibly have, what elicits those things from them. And like same thing as taking something away from them. What I would take away from my son if he was being punished for something is not the same as I would take away from my daughter. We can't send my daughter up to her room. She loves being in her room. She'll play with her toys the whole time. My son, if you made him like sit still, oh, he would lose his shit. I could probably make him run laps. I've never done it before. I could probably make him run like hill sprints as a punishment, and he'd love the first 10 minutes of it. He would be like, this is awesome. Where my daughter, she would sit down and be like, what the fuck you making me do, dog? Absolutely not. Where are my dolls? So it's just figuring out like what makes each person tick, what makes like not doing blanket things because I'm dad and you're kids.
Yeah. I heard somebody say once that gentle parenting doesn't work because you haven't actually learned how to regulate your own nervous system and that you don't actually know how to calm yourself down.
Yeah.
Do you think there's an element of truth to that?
I think most punishments I remember as a kid was because my mom was mad. Not because I needed that, not because I deserved that, not because this fit what I just did wrong. It was mom's mad and mom's going to have her level of anger match the level of punishment I receive. And that may somehow match the transgression.
Yeah.
And like there's a hope that eventually that matches the transgression. But like I even tell my parents now, like I didn't learn anything from being punished in high school. You just took my phone away and I snuck it. I knew where you hid it. I just snuck my phone. I didn't learn anything. I'm grounded. Okay, I just sneak off when I'm at school, or I do anything I want when I'm not around. Like I just learned to navigate around these things because punishments never fitted the crimes. And there was never like a thought process through why or what lesson you're trying to teach me. It was just when you're in trouble, this is what happens. So I think it's hard for people because you're navigating your own stuff. And then you put kids on top of it and you put a spouse on top of it. And like you have to account for so many other people. Or like me, you can decide this is just what I'm built for. I'm built for accommodating myself and other people. And I'm going to choose to continue maintaining a capacity for both.
Yeah. I remember seeing one of your stories and just fucking have all your stories memorized. Could like screenshot them. Like, that's good. Let me get that. But you said something like you were watching a movie and the lions were getting mad at each other and your son didn't know what it was because you and your wife never yell at each other. And I thought that was so incredible. Was that something that you consciously were like, hey, this is the standard I want to have in my marriage and with my children? Or is it just kind of something that came as a product of all the work that you've done and just not wanting to be like the people who put their kids in those environments?
I think it's both. Well, one because of the other. Because of what I saw that people did wrong and that resulted in kids, not turning out very well. It became conversations my wife and I had before she ever even got pregnant with my daughter. And so I think it was in the communication of what these things are supposed to look like and what we believe these things should look like for us that we've come to and are still consistently navigating. Cause like new challenges going to get thrown at us. But there's so many times where we've looked back and been like, oh, I'm so glad we like dealt with that before it came up as a test. Like you can prepare for life tests before they happen. I know some of us think that we need to learn everything the hard way. There are so many tests that life will throw at you that when it comes, you'd be so happy to just like have an emotional tool belt where you can pull out this thing and go, oh, I already have the thing for that. Cool. I can skip this one. Or I've already learned it. Like I didn't skip it. I just learned it before it actually came into my awareness. So like, yeah, not yelling around your children. I remember what that did, hearing my parents yell at each other and at us as kids. And we've never lived with my dad. And the only interactions I remember my parents having was only ever yelling and fighting. About child support, about where to pick us up, where to drop us off, what times, what movie my dad let us watch, my mom making us into little pussies, blah, 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 blah. Like all the stuff. And that's all I ever remember. And I don't remember any sort of teamwork. I don't remember any sort of figuring out how to do this thing together when, like, even if my wife and I weren't together, I genuinely believe we would do a great job of figuring out what's best for our kids out of respect for one another, out of like what we're trying to build our children into. And I've just seen that fall apart so many times for so many other people. And the best way for me to do that, I'm in the best spot to do that. I live with my wife and my children, and we're in love with each other, and we enjoy doing this together. And so why don't we just do the best we possibly can, given the best scenario? Like, I grew up in not the best scenario and didn't get the best effort, like, of trying to do this properly.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do both those very differently. I want the best scenario for my kids and the maximum effort for my kids.
I think so many guys get into the mode of like, I'm the king of the castle and I'm the big man and I'm going to raise my son to be a big man just like me.
There's a lot of that.
But they forget that one of the biggest indicators of how your children interact with the world is seeing how you interact with your wife. I'd love for you to expand a bit on that and what you've seen with either clients you've, obviously don't name them, but like clients you've worked with or just guys you've been around and how that kind of comes to fruition.
Yeah. King of the castle typically is silently resented, that I found. When it's because I'm in charge. And we do the same thing actually for our kids. Nothing is ever because I said so. And we try really, really hard to never have that be the answer for any of their questions because I said so. We actually have to find the reason. And some of them are really good questions. Why can't I do that? Well, why can't they do that? Huh. And sometimes it's inconvenient. And mommy, daddy don't want to do that right now. Like whatever the actual answer is what we give them. And so I think the dynamic of the household, like I lead my household. There's no question as to whether I lead my household. And my wife will tell you, and my kids will tell you, daddy's in charge. And daddy doesn't have to exert control because I have respect. I have the respect of my wife. I have the respect of my children that is built on honesty and decency and making them feel safe above everything else. That allows me to have the respect that I don't have to use as a weapon because it's been built genuinely. And I think when you have the king of the castle complex, it's only because I don't feel like I'll be respected if I don't have control. And so let me just clamor for control because I don't know if I actually deserve respect. And this is, I mean, we can talk through business relationships. We can talk about people's social media presences. This expands so, like, this is a big spider web people have. If I don't feel deserving of respect, I must maintain control and power and force. So it's like the power versus force book. Like if you can't get it naturally, you have to manufacture it.
Yeah. It's until you're willing to open up to the idea that, can I give myself respect? I don't think a lot of people truly respect themselves and they want to feel important. And I say this because I was in the same boat, you know, but like, what does it actually look like to give myself respect? Or a big one that I don't think most guys have asked themselves, what are my needs? And not just, no, I don't have those. Those are for women and children. No, like, what? No. What are they?
If you had to have them, what would they be?
Yeah, exactly. Gun to your head.
Put yourself in a hypothetical then, if you don't have them.
Because if you don't, like, it's really easy to let things get off the rails and be like, well, how did this happen? Well, how do you think it happened?
Yeah. We're also, I think, in general, men are better at being resentful without it impacting their I want to say servitude, their responsibilities. I can be as resentful toward you as I can possibly be, and it wouldn't change what I do for you. And so because of that, we just do it a lot because, well, at least I'm not treating you any different, which like usually you really are. But at least I'm not blowing up. At least I'm not leaving. At least I'm not crashing out all the time. And so I can just be quietly resentful of my entire life. As long as I just don't blow my fucking lid, I'm doing a good job. And we don't ever consider, again, that you just don't have to carry those around. That you can actually communicate. You can actually talk about where you're at and what your thought process is. Only after you've developed a genuine respect from the other person. Then you can be the level of vulnerable that I believe is like optimal for a relationship.
Yeah, appropriate, right? Yeah. There can be no vulnerability without boundaries. It's not about just like, okay, dumping. And it doesn't mean you have to always, have your guard up and never be caught lacking. But just if you do get caught lacking, hey, I got caught lacking. Yeah. My bad. This is how I'm going to move on from it.
And also for the partner of that person, like they will only be as vulnerable as they feel respected. Because I can't give you the possibility of taking advantage of me because I've been vulnerable. And so like I did this at a speech a few weeks ago to a room of like 18 to 20-year-old, some of them, they're all like door knockers or team managers for like HVAC, solar, things like that, like door-to-door sales. And I started crying. I was talking about my friend who passed away last year, and like how difficult of a thing that was. And I said, but here's the thing around the balance of respect and vulnerability. I just shared something vulnerably with all of you guys. I just shared something vulnerably with all of you guys right now. Despite the fact that I'm like, let's take my physical stature aside, because that's, I guess, part of it. But the respect that I was able to build during the beginning of this, with my accolades, with who I know, with what I do, with how collected I am, how much I've accomplished, like how well I can speak about myself. None of you in this room believe you can take advantage of me now, because I just cried in front of this entire room. I just had to sit here for a few seconds and collect myself before I continue my story in front of this entire room of people. Not a singular person in here now respects me less because of this. And I know it. And please be honest. I promise, like, I won't do anything. I won't get mad. Tell me if your level of respect for me has gone down in any capacity because I just sat up here vulnerably after building a track record, let's say, for 40 minutes of respect before that. Not a single hand goes up. Now, maybe people aren't telling the truth, whatever. But my belief is that when you've built this up, you're allowed to be this other thing over here in a container. Now, if I like sat on the ground and started like, sitting in the fetal position, yeah, probably gonna go down a little bit. But if you're just vulnerable with a boundary, like you said, I think that's the best way to get people to see the wholeness of you without feeling scared or without feeling like they can take advantage of you or any of the positive or any of the negatives that could possibly come along with it.
Yeah, totally. No, it's really well said. I was talking to somebody a couple of weeks ago about why I think hustle culture is actually necessary for men, because there's something inherent in guys that you need to push yourself and see the input-output formula and go, whoa, that's cool. Because it does something to you when you are able to achieve. It does something to you when you're able to compete. I think it satisfies a really like primal need a lot of guys have. You just need the awareness of like, this can't be the only mode I have. Because if you don't ever develop it, it leads to, guys feeling really frustrated, like the nice guy syndrome, feeling like a wimp, not being able to develop a backbone. When you have that and then you go, okay, I can't just do this for the rest of my life, then it allows for like a healthy crossover of abilities.
The warrior poet, right? You got to be able to do both.
No, for sure. There's one more thing I was going to ask you. I can't remember. We're at 118. I should probably go soon. What would you say the number one thing guys call you for?
The number one thing guys call me for?
In terms of like to work with you. Not just about like fantasy football.
I'm getting knocked out of the playoffs tonight.
Fuck. Sorry. My condolences.
Thank you so much. I'm going to cry later. The number one thing guys call me for, I think, actually, perfect callback, I guess, to the earlier conversation. They have run into something that showed them they weren't the exception. Something in their lives that they couldn't talk their way around, they couldn't navigate their way around, couldn't brute force their way through, couldn't manipulate their way, like wormhole, find loopholes. All of the tricks didn't work, and they're left with this like pit in their stomach of, I don't know what to do now. That's usually when I get, and it's usually in the middle of the night, I'll get a message that I happen to see while I'm up working. Those are usually like the initial conversations I have.
Yeah.
People realize that they weren't the exception to something that they've probably for a long time told themselves they were.
Yeah. If you could say one thing to a guy listening or watching this who maybe isn't willing to be honest with himself about what he wants, but he knows that there's more to life than just succeeding, what would you say?
But he's not willing to be honest with himself?
Or he doesn't know how to get there, sorry.
Gotcha. I was going to say, if he doesn't want to be honest, keep going. Keep doing it. He'll fuck up and you'll be fine.
Yeah. Next video on your algorithm.
But who wants to do better and just doesn't have the tools.
Yeah, and he's trying to find the courage to get there.
Yeah. Sit quietly alone with yourself and paint out, if all of the things I don't like about myself continue for another 5 years, what does that look like? So you're aware of the things you don't like about yourself. It's all the reminders that you have. It's all the what the fuck is wrong with you. All those instances, build them up, let's say for a week, list them out, and then say, let me project out these unchanged for the next 5 years. Who does that impact? What does that impact? How does that manifest? And you paint a nightmare scenario. I do this for people who are thinking about leaving their relationships. If nothing were to change for the next 5 years, where's your relationship in 5 years? So I think it's the same with your relationship for yourself. If nothing were to change, if you were to do nothing differently for the next 5 years, paint me out that picture of what that looks like. And it's never a positive one, which is why we're on the phone and having the conversation. But it usually puts into reality for these people like, oh, if this got worse or just never got better, I'd be in a much, much worse place.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. Well, Kyree, I appreciate you doing this. I'll let you go soon.
Of course, man.
But before we do, how can people find you?
Instagram at Kyree. Facebook, Kyree Oliver. Look for the big brown guy. I think it's like facebook.com/Kyree Oliver 1984. I think is my personal profile. I do have an ebook. It's called Pillars of Power. If anybody wants it, it's free. It's like 6 different areas of your life and like how to reclaim those areas of your life. I think it's just Kyree.com/ebook is the easiest way to get it. Again, free. You're going to sign up for an email list, but I don't send out regular emails. I need to start doing that. So you won't be bombarded, at least right now, until Nick gets mad at me for not sending out consistent emails. Yeah, those are the easiest ways. So free resource, Kyree.com/ebook, or my Instagram or Facebook.
Perfect, man. Okay, we'll debrief after I hit stop recording here. But everybody who's watching this, peace out. You can check out another video on my YouTube.
Thank you.
Or if you want to reach out, say hi on Instagram. It'll be in the description below. Peace.